Hello! I thought I would bring you a video about writing today, as I haven't done in a very long time. I sort of joined the AuthorTube community and have failed to make videos about writing. I find that they're not very popular, so if you don't like writing, this is not going to be about books. It's purely going to be about how my writing is going and what I've got coming up that I'm excited about. By the time this video is up, I will have a story up on Fictive Dream blog, which I will link down below. It's a fantastic blog that posts some really good stories, so I'm very excited that they wanted one of mine. It's a very short story. It's only about 600 words or so, and it is about falling in love, and that's going to be up hopefully on Sunday the 5th of March, so as I say, by the time this video is up, it will be up. I have also got coming up next month in April at some point, I'm not sure when, I am being published in Prole Literary Magazine, which is really exciting. Funnily enough, it's a story I wrote for one of Jen Campbell's writing workshops, which I will link the links to that down below. If you're hesitant to join, please do. I would never have got this publication if it weren't for that writing workshop. And basically, Jen gives you a prompt, and our prompt was all about fairy tales. And from that, I wrote a story that I'm quite proud of, but as I say, I never would have written it otherwise. And I entered it into Prole competition last year and didn't win. I then got an email from them about 2 weeks ago saying that even though I didn't win, they really loved my story and would I still be interested in giving it to them to publish in their next edition. And I said, of course, yes please. So that's coming up as well, and that's really exciting. And I think for me, as somebody who hasn't had that many publications under my belt yet, and as somebody who has absolutely no faith in my own work at the moment, and I do this thing, which is really stupid, I know, but whenever I do get a success with my writing, I kind of think, oh, they just felt bad for me. It was so terrible. They thought they should publish it because who else is going to? That's how my brain works. But for this, because they specifically picked it out of the losing pile, it feels like a real achievement, and I'm very proud. And as I say, if you're hesitant to join one of those workshops, please do. They're fantastic value for money, and it is well worth doing. In terms of writing I'm doing at the moment, I'm kind of in a bad place with my writing, and I have been since about October last year. I haven't really written anything new, which is really bothering me. I know I took part in Nano last November, and I did get a lot of planning for my novel done, and I did do a lot of backstory for my characters, but I didn't particularly write anything new. I think the trouble at the moment is that because I have now got a freelance job where I write for my day job, I write very different. I write non-fiction. It's quite snappy articles. Most articles are 500 words. So you have to be really precise and concise, and it's a very different style of writing. And I find I'm trying to get into the habit and stay in the habit of writing for an hour in the evenings. But because of all day I've been writing in that certain style, I find it very hard in that hour to get back into the style of writing fiction, which is really sad, and I need to combat it, and I need to get over that feeling and just learn to put my head back in the fiction game. I'm also finding it very hard to sit down for long stretches of time and do my own writing. I find that even though I'm setting aside an hour, I'm spending about half an hour of that wasting time, and then spending half an hour writing stuff that is not very good. And that's a real problem for me. I've also got a writing group on Facebook with a few people from BookTube, and I've completely neglected that as well, which I need to combat soon. I'm really struggling to write anything new, and I think aside from the fact that my job is sort of disrupting my writing, it's also the fact that I'm in a place where I've gone from last year I wrote a lot of short stories. I gave up my job and basically just dedicated my time to writing short stories, which is really good because I've now got a collection of short stories that I'm happy to play with, and that's kind of what I've been doing at the moment, just editing and tweaking and making them how I want them to be. But I'm also at a place where I kind of think I want to focus my efforts on my novel and get that written, because how can you say you are a writer if you haven't written a book? But it's kind of a difficult situation where I'm not sure what I want to focus on, because the good thing about short stories is that they're short, relatively quick to write. I say quick, they do take a while to get right, but it's a much easier process and you see a return on it in a much quicker time. Also, I can then enter competitions and send stuff out to literary magazines, whereas with a novel, obviously the publication process and everything is going to take a hell of a lot longer, and the writing process itself is going to take a year or so. So for me, I find it quite hard to dedicate myself to my novel when I know I could be writing short stories and seeing a quicker return on them, but then equally short stories aren't a long-term prospect really. they're not the way to go forward. I think if I want to make my writing work for me, I need to dedicate my time to my novels. So that's kind of what's going on with me at the moment. I'm in a strange place with my writing. There's part of me that wants to turn those stories that I wrote last year into a short story collection, because I realise that a lot of them have quite similar, not that they're similar, but they have similar themes. They're all about sort of love and relationships in some way or another. And I think they're different enough from each other that they would work together in a collection, which takes me back to the first ever idea I had for a novel, and a novel I wanted to write this when I was like 17, about the fact that all different kinds of love have their issues and their problems, but ultimately they work in their own way. And I wanted to really look at the different forms of love, like platonic love, lustful love, infatuated love, everything like that, and just sort of pick them apart. And it didn't really work as a novel. I struggled. I did write a fair bit of it, but I struggled to get it to stick together. I think it would work really well as a short story collection, and I have stories there already for that. But again, that would involve focusing on my short stories. And again, I don't know how viable a short story collection is in my long term. It's such a nightmare trying to decide these things as well as doing my day job. Just a bit of a headache. Like, I'm in a much better position now than I was when I was working full-time at a supermarket and sort of dedicating time to my writing outside of that. But then at the same time, and I'm not saying that I would go back to that at all. I love my job. It's a dream job for me. Absolutely. I get to write all day. I get to do it from home. It's fantastic. But there is part of me that thinks that it's more damaging to my writing, because when I was working in a shop, I was doing my shift work, and then I would come home and I would dedicate at least 2 hours to writing, or say I didn't start until the afternoon, I would dedicate the morning to writing. And obviously I'm not doing that now. I'm working full-time hours, so 9 till 5, and then I'm having to write in the evenings, and as I say, it's quite hard to get the inspiration to do so. So I don't know, I am in a much better position, and I think I just need to give myself a kick up the backside basically and say, look, this is what you want to do, so do it. But it's easier said than done, isn't it? But hopefully I'll get into the habit. So that's everything that's happening with my writing. I don't know if you found this useful, but I just thought I would update people who wanted to know. Please let me know down below, if you're a writer, how you get the time and the motivation to write outside of your job, and what you think about the issue of novel versus short story, and whether that's a problem you have as well. And I'll see you next time. Bye.